Hello, everybody. Happy April 24th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talent in Connecticut. And on today's show, people, you got to start knowing about this school now. And if you don't, this is why we're on this to be able to talk about Thames River. And my guest today, Logan Smith, who's the offensive line and offensive coordinator for the football program. Coach Smith, thanks so much for being able to come on today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, man. Always good to get, talk some football, especially in this time now. And, always good to get things that are out there and get some good news out about the school.
Now, one thing, specifically I want to talk about before we really kind of go into the program, talk a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so, I'm a local Eastern Connecticut guy. Grew up in East Lyme, and then I went to school in New London for 4 years, played there, was on a state championship team in 2008, on two teams after that. My junior and senior year, we went to the playoffs. Senior year, we played against Hill House at Rensselaer Field in the state championship game, lost a tough heartbreaker 7-0. And then, through that, I transitioned into playing at the University of New Haven for my 5 years, getting my master's. I was kind of like a journeyman offensive lineman. I played literally every position from like my freshman year all the way into my last grad year. I even slipped in a little bit of like goal line tight end there a little bit too. Through all that, I, as a kind of career, like backup person there, I got to see the whole like scheme of the offense kind of unfold in front of me, and just learning about, how everything kind of ties in together, seeing at every position and how everything comes together kind of grew into my, my desire to coach, which I kind of knew I wanted to do that once I graduated. But, through those years in college, I knew that's where I wanted to go. So, it was like a month or two after I stopped playing football, Coach Juan Roman called me in New London and was like, "Hey, I'm interviewing for this job, and if I get it, you're the O-line coach." And I'm like, "Sign me up. I'm in. I'm in. I got to finish grad school, but I'm in, man." Mm-hmm. And, he got the job, and, I was finishing up grad school, and my first year coaching O-line there was a heck of a year. We finished 9-2, only lost 2 games, the last to NFA and then to Notre Dame West Haven and in the playoffs. And then came back the next year, same thing, O-line coach at New London. Decent year. If we were 4-6, had one of like the better Thanksgiving games against NFA, and then transitioned to be the offensive coordinator for the last 2 years at Thames River. We've been really successful, a team on the uprise where, my first year we were 6-4, which tied the program's best record. And then last year, 7-3, which broke the program's best record. So, we're definitely on the upswing of a team. I'm growing as a coach every day. I feel like I'm, learning something new and figuring something new out about myself. And, just as a coach and learning and how to be an organizer and a play caller and all that stuff. So it's been definitely an interesting ride, for a 27-year-old guy who has coached at 2 different schools and a coordinator now. And, in this position now, I've definitely done a lot of learning. I know I have so much more to go from here.
I know specifically about, different leagues when we talk about the NVL, the FCAC, the SWC. Every kind of league has, different offensive styles. Think about the spread, under center, you name it. What kind of offense do you run and the league itself?
So my big belief as far as just in general is really to kind of make my offense match my player's skill set. But, I never force, I'm not like a sprint. I'm not like an air raid guy, and we're going to throw the ball. I don't care if my quarterback can't throw the ball. We're going to throw the ball. I'm more, what do I have as players? How can I maximize their potential as much as possible? My first year going into Thames River, I was like, all right, we're going to run, I formation. We're going to run some spread stuff, some RPO. We're going to run a little bit of option, a little bit of this and that. Our quarterback didn't have those capabilities to do that. So we transitioned into, I formation. We ran the ball every single time. I think we threw the ball about like 7 times throughout the year. Mm-hmm. So very exciting games if you go to it. But, we had like 180-yard swing pass for a touchdown, which was like, I was like, oh my God. I was running down the field like, let's go. That first year it kind of what worked for our team. And, going into not really knowing the kids too, I came up with a very vanilla offense just to get us going. And then going into this last year, I did a lot of research into the flex bone, kind of Georgia Tech style offense. Mm-hmm. And I really like that because of all the motions, the different things you can do, kind of like trickeration and the disguise you can have as far in that offense is something that I thought would benefit us with, the amount of players we had. I know that we had some like the skills that we didn't have necessarily. I know that we kind of hide those things by doing some, that motion stuff. And it ended up working out really well. We actually transitioned quarterbacks after the third game to a quarterback that could throw the ball a little bit better. So we were able to, back up and go into that a little bit more spread set and throw the ball a little bit more. So, my philosophy mainly is just let's try to get the ball into our best players' hands. But I've been really rooting myself into this flex bone thing, which I've never ran that before. That wasn't my like high school offense or anything like that, but it's something that really has kind of been a big interest to me because of so much. It's very, very flexible in what you want to do in your skill set, where it's mainly an option skill set, an option-based offense, but we don't have that. But I can do so much off of it to kind of make it look that way that it still works. Which is similar, there's a lot of teams in the tech league kind of run the same thing, run some similar flex bone wing tee, shotgun wing tee stuff. We still do see some of the spread looks here and there, but it's you definitely do see. I'm thankful I'm not the defensive coordinator because you see something different every week. It's like spread this week, double wing this week. It's like, oh, what am I going to do? So I definitely don't envy that at all.
What I really like, though, about what you mentioned, how you kind of work with what you have. You don't try to make something if there's nothing. If you have guys who can run a specific kind of offense, you stick to that. And, being able to look at the roster from last year and watch some of your game film, the two things that jumped out to me was line play. Offensive line, defensive line. That looks like that's where you have the hogs on the offensive line and you have the dudes on the defensive line to get the job done.
Yeah, so I'll tell you this, the coaching staff at Thames River is, except for two coaches, we're all ex-offensive linemen, so we're very good as far as that.
So what you're telling me is there's a lot of offensive linemen in the room.
Yeah, so there's me I'm the younger, I'm fresh out, I'm 5 years removed from playing, so I kind of have like the modern game. Our head coach is someone who played in like the 90s at East Lyme, and then our defensive coordinator played offensive line, and so did another one of our assistant coaches played in Massachusetts as an offensive lineman. So got a lot of those people in the room where like we all know the right techniques where, if I'm saying something some way and they know a different way, we all kind of attack the O-line in the right way. And the D-line too, because it's all kind of, it's all connected. But we have a lot of good pieces coming into mind where, that's the big focus. And just as as us are all ex-offensive line, we know how the team runs behind those two lines. If you lose at the line of scrimmage, you're really behind the eight ball on a lot of things, especially offensively. You really can't do much if you can't, block anybody. So that's been a big focus of me. A lot of my time in the offseason is let's get the offensive line the right way because, once I get that going, then I know I have the skilled players to kind of, do what I need to do. But if we can't block up the right way, then we're stuck.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned about the different, how many offensive lineman guys that you have. And it's not like they're from like 2 or 3, years out. You have one coach you said was 10 years, another one was in the 90s, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Is it something where, because we know about the game changing, you and I were just talking about how offensive line play is kind of going down because everything is spread, throw, get it out as quickly as possible. Do you guys kind of see that as far as the high school game where offensive line play is going down? So you guys as a group have to make sure that you keep up the right way as far as technique.
Yeah, well, the big thing is that, and I really saw it as when I was in school too, where no one wants to play O-line really because it's not glamorous. And I think that's where if you get a kid where like he's got a good body frame to play O-line, he doesn't want to do it because he's like, oh no, I'm a tight end. And it's like, no, man, you're not. Like, I'm sorry, but my freshman year, I tried to be a tight end, and I made it one practice, and I go to the lineman. So, like, I know where that is. I think that the toughest thing really is getting kids to buy into that. It's grunt work, it's dirty work, but like, it's so beneficial. And I think a lot of the kids, what really happened with our group that we the group we had last year, were except for one, we're all seniors that grew up together, playing together in a team. So, and they grew together as far as, no, this, like, we are we're the dudes that make this team go. And I preach to them so much, We call ourselves the big dogs because, the big dogs are the protectors, are the leaders of the team. So I kind of like built that, like, make sure it's something to them. That's not just, you're just, a player on the team that does something. You're not just a fat kid. You're, you're a kid. You're in a very important part of this team. So, for me, I try to boast up the offensive line as much as possible. And make sure those kids that maybe aren't thinking about it understand that, hey, you know what, maybe this isn't just a position where I just hit people and that's it. It means a lot more, and it's more important that I'm maybe even thinking about it.
I'm telling you right now, just from what I've seen the last couple of years, just by looking back about the program, the program's been about for about 5 years, and you consider, Norwich Tech, Rosso Tech, and St. Bernard, being able to all combine, it has to be difficult to be able to get, it's hard enough to get one group of kids from one school to be able to buy in as a team. Imagine getting 3 different groups to come in at the same time.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. There's days, so we practice at Norwich Tech, and we have the buses bring kids from Grosso Tech and Groton, and they pick up the kids at St. Bernard's up down in Uncasville. They bring them all to Norwich Tech, so we kind of have to rely on that bus bringing them all there. And there's been days where the bus doesn't come, or something happens where those kids don't get picked up, and like our quarterback's at St. Bernard's, and like there was a day where like they didn't get picked up, so I was like, all right, thankfully my school was right down the road. I'm like, I will be there in 10 minutes, get ready and let's go, because it was an offensive day, so I can't I can't do anything without you. It's definitely something different. It's weird. As a guy who's in New London, where I live there, so like you see the kids in town, like you're all together, so you kind of build that cohesiveness and that bond throughout like your time growing up, where unless you played youth football together and you just happen to go to the same school, a lot of these kids really don't know each other. So, we really strive on that a lot. We like preach how much that we're a family. Every school does that, but I think it means something a little bit more to us because we are literally coming from different backgrounds. Like you have 3 different, very, very different types of schools coming together as one to field a team. Our team motto is we rise as one, because we are, so many different people rising as one team to be successful. And if we try to take it as, oh no, we're not Norwich Tech, we're Rosso Tech, we're St. Bernard's, we're going to have, we're not going to be as cohesive and not running together as one. But if we come together, we're Thames River, we're the Crusaders, let's move forward as a team. That's that's where we've been moving in the right direction, and we're going to keep doing that because it's been what's successful us and what the kids are really buying in at. It's great to see so some of these kids are like really good friends. Like the Norwich Tech kids are friends with like the Grosso kids, and the same with the St. Bernard's kids and the Grossos and Norwich Tech kids. So we've really got a really good environment going where it feels like it's a family when we come in there.
And that's, the most important part, because if you're able to have that family and there's not infighting because they're coming from different schools, it allows you as a coaching staff to be able to get things going a lot smoother. I really like what you just said about Rise as One, because that not only applies to the team, but in a lot of ways, we were just talking before we came on about how the program, a lot of people may not know about, and I'm hoping after this, maybe people will know more about, Thames River a little bit, but just as a whole, that's a really good quote to be able to kind of come together as one.
Yeah, and that's our head coach came up with that. When he took over the program, and it's something that we've said at the end of practice. We mentioned it multiple times, especially because like I said, sometimes there's times where there's kids that if they don't make it to practice because of something, or they can't get a ride there, we have to come together as a team. Like that it's a lot of that next man up mentality. Our last game of the year. 3 of the offensive linemen didn't play because they were either got hurt during the next game, and we had to go next man up, and didn't we?
Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't the end of the world. We had the guys in there that could keep pushing and keep moving. But if we didn't have that cohesiveness, we didn't believe in each other. Like the kids that were hurt, like as soon as it was like they knew they were out, they were going to their the kid they knew was going in their spot and talking them up and getting them ready for everything. And it was like you don't see that out very often. You see more kids. I'm hurt. I'm out. They just kind of like they're kind of in their own world, where these kids went right away to, hey, listen, you got this. Don't worry if you do this. And was going through all the things. Like I was just going to go tell them that, but now I can just step away. It means more coming from a player as opposed coming from me.
Well, Coach, we've run out of time. I really do appreciate it. Thanks so much, and hopefully we can have you back on sometime in the near future.
Yeah, definitely, man. If you ever make your way down to Norwich Tech, let me know. Every morning before a game, I go to McDonald's. So if you ever want to join me at McDonald's with my little brother, it'd be a good time.
Definitely. I'll definitely have to, take you up on that offer. But
Yeah, for
thanks so
sure,
much for
man.
being able to come on. That'll wrap things up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, have a safe and happy day, everybody.